Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Turn End. Not much good to say. It was a game of two goalkeepers. I'm gonna carry on and get the lads in. So joining me as usual is Stefan McKevitt, first for player Stefan McKevitt, Andy Townend, and Chris Clark. Well, lads,
good evening.
I'm just
How do I get the most normal intro?
Yeah. Director, producer, and everything in between. But look, that was there's a lot to talk about, but I don't think any of us want to talk about it. But I'm just going to kind of open the floor to you and let you kind of take it away. Steph, we'll go with you. Yeah, we know you're itching to talk.
First for players. That was a nice intro there, yeah.
No worries, mate.
Just no ideas, no plan, no tactics, no formation. Everyone had a free role. It seemed I don't know what they've been told before matches, or like I said before, if I had been a boxing match, it would have been stopped after about half an hour. I don't know. It's so hard to understand what the thinking is behind some of the decisions, the starting lineup, position, switching fullbacks. How are you going to get continuity within the team? Players getting to know each other. Just everything that's wrong with it at the minute is happening. And you can see players that's fighting for the badge, like Chris Shields running around overdoing things because he's trying to cover for people, do people's jobs. You seen him getting frustrated, getting the booking for putting in a challenge, and then at the end, we get this burst, we show a bit of urgency, and we get a goal from it. Play it to our strengths, put the ball into the box to Hoban. Great ball, great goal, great header. I know. It's just hard to, come across without slating the players, but they've been sent out there with no instructions whatsoever. It's just coming across all bad. I don't know what you think. Gal, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to. I know obviously gas goes off in the first minute. You know, we don't know what the injury is, but look, we hope it's not massively serious like people will. But when you bring on Greg Sloggett to play right of the tree, when you have Leahy sitting on the bench, I thought they went 4-4-2, and we were texting actually at the start, and I was kind of like, yeah, 4-4-2 would make sense, if we're playing on the tree and one of the main trees are gone. But to put Greg Sloggett in and then take him off, it's like there's a house burning down and they don't know how to put it out. They're just trying, we'll throw on a bit of water, we'll throw on a bit of this, we'll throw on a bit of, it's
petrol.
Eventually they landed on petrol, and that's what happened. I just don't, like you said, there's no continuity. It's go on and do something. Simple stuff. The goal, look, it's a cracking strike from Andrew, but I teach kids at 7 years of age, mark the person with the ball. If someone has the ball, go and get it. And they just stood off. And same for the second goal. I know we're jumping ahead here into the second half, but it's frustrating because the scoreline flattered us. I know we had chances. I know we had the bar, we had the post, but we were awful. There's no other way to describe it. You can't play, we can hammer the players if we want, but 3 coaches on the sideline should be able to get that team playing. I just don't get it. I just don't know what we're doing. I don't know. 3 or 4 times I looked at the game, I didn't know where anybody was playing. It was just all over the shop. There's no other way to put it. There's simple things, standing off the ball. Jokoskis, he's after playing 4 games. I think somebody said it's only 300 minutes in 10 days.
Yeah.
You take him off after 80 minutes, you put on Dan Leahy when you're looking for a goal. What? I don't understand it. Mitch-Stogan coming off at half-time. He's hardly kicked the ball all year. He comes on at half-time. He turns like a side-by-side fridge. He's just... I just don't get it. It's just like I say, they're just throwing on people for the sake of it. There's no structure. There's no thought. I just don't get it.
I think he's alluded to it there already. I think when we had set up our formation, you could see how we were going to play. Garts goes and get injured, and that's our whole game plan gone. Because how many times have we mentioned this before? This team just does not seem to have a plan B at all.
Yeah.
And then that injury kind of just changes everything. We're bringing in Sloggett, then Sloggett ended up coming back off. We never changed any formation, even though he would have been more natural in the middle of the park. At times, we had absolutely nothing in there as well. like I say, when Shields' been pulled from pillar to post to try to make up, like I didn't think Stanton had another, he didn't have a good game again tonight. And I think Shields is having to do so much to make up for that his natural game is disappearing. And I think you're right. I think the scoreline probably will flatter us tonight. It looked like we were probably competitive when for large parts of this game, we weren't even competitive, I didn't think. And I think when you think about, as fans, we're a bit confused on our own formations and how we're playing. I think the first goal really shows that. We give away a free kick. No one's standing over the ball to make sure nothing's played quickly. We didn't even have a wall made, if that's what we were trying to do. It just looked like we were, a couple of lads put together for a football team for the first time ever, and no one knows how to play yet. No one isn't completely sure of where they're meant to play. And I think that just came through for the first goal. Bang, we're just caught napping. Like, I think we all said it when we were chatting during the match. Like, we were caught watching. Like, nobody was paying any attention to what to do, and no one knew exactly what they were meant to do. And I think that's just been a theme so far of this team.
Yeah, I think on that note, lads, let's invite everyone to nominate their man of the match.
What a time for a new part, isn't it?
Yeah, we've sold out to the sponsorships, folks. We put a call out in week 1 or week 2, and we've sold out to sponsors. So, if anybody wants to nominate or wants to comment in who you thought was Dundalk's best player, I mean, the list is probably very, very small. But if you want to pick who you thought was the man of the match for Dundalk tonight, we'll discuss it a little bit later on. If you are in agreement with the panel, you'll be entered into a draw to win a 15-inch pizza from Tony's Pizzeria. There you go. That's good advertising there, lads.
Some price.
I think for me, what is most frustrating is we're not doing the simple things. When you look at both goals, I mean, Abibi was definitely at fault for the second goal, but I think the amount of time that was it Kavanagh that scored the second goal? Who was the scorer? I can't even remember. Dylan was. The amount of time that he had, the amount of time that Mandrew had, and we were all talking. I think there was 9 outfield players and a BB behind the ball for that opening goal, and there's nobody close to closing them down. That's just unacceptable. I mean, I coach schoolboys, just like you were saying, Gally. You coach kids. There's pressure and cover, and there was no pressure on the ball for either of those 2 goals. And as much as we want to blame the goalie for that second goal, like, how does Watts have that time? You know what I mean? He shouldn't have that time. Yeah, it's very poor, very, very frustrating. As supporters watching on, given the success we've had over the last couple of years, that I think was probably the most frustrating out of it is we know that these players are good. Individually, we've probably got as good a Dundalk team as maybe we had in 2016 or beyond individually, but there's no gelling, there's no meshing. That's probably partly down to the system we're playing, but I to be honest, I feel like, and I think somebody said it there, I think Steph, you might have said it, some of our players aren't trying, and that's the thing that frustrates the life out of me is, some players are strolling around the pitch, when there's a ball about 5 yards away from them. I'm not going to name names because Steph keeps calling me out for hammering players, but there is some of our lads that just aren't working hard enough. And you said earlier on about Chris Shields is doing the job of 2 or 3 men out there, and he shouldn't have to. Chris Shields always goes above and beyond as it is. So for him to give extra, I mean, he shouldn't have to at all. I suppose you mentioned about Gartland's injury as well. We should probably wish Gareth the best with his injury. It was good in the middle of the second half to see him coming out, albeit on crutches, and hopefully it's not as bad as it looked or suggested that when it first happened. So that's my rant done, boys. Whoever wants to go next.
Dean, I'll just say to everybody watching in tonight, similar to last week, comments are just flying in and out. So look, we'll get to what we can. I'll try to put up as much as I can, but I think we could probably give a bit of time over and go back over some points that people make, if we don't touch on them during the show tonight. So, there's a couple coming in already for man of the match. So just keep them coming then as well.
Perfect. I mean, Steph, you obviously haven't played in the League of Ireland. What would you say about that, about players not trying? Did you see that watching the game tonight, that certain players just aren't putting the effort in that others are?
Yeah, I like because you're watching the game and then you're thinking there could be more done by certain players because you have seen them do it before. So I don't know whether it's like they're just looking around going, like, what system are we playing here? Like why am I fucking busting myself if I'm turning around and looking at the next fella and he's supposed to be playing behind me and he's not there. He's over the far side of the pitch. He's supposed to be up top and he's dropping in the middle. I think there's a sense of confusion out there as well as everything else.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we're looking at it going, hang on a minute, Cleary's playing up top here or out wide right, and he's supposed to be a centre half. You see Slogga dropping into the middle, and I felt a bit sorry for Slogga because he was all over the shop. Like he was supposed to be playing centre half, and he was being dragged into the middle. And the Rovers lads are clever enough; they're going to try and pull him out because he's not used to centre half. I was thinking just like drop Shieldsy in, like try and like secure the back line, and then like walk on midfield. And then you're looking at other players. I don't know, like even players coming on supposed to be playing out wide right and they're dropping into the middle. I think we talked about Junior already, like, and I don't know whether it's a total confusion with everyone when we're looking at it like that, and then you're supposed to be playing in it. It just seems like it's a few lads, 11 lads just thrown onto the pitch saying, just try your best here.
So when you say sorry, Steph, when you say it's a look of confusion, do you think is the problem now that there's too many voices? Do you think the problem is that it's just Filippo, or do you think the problem is now that you've got Filippo, you've got Shane Keegan putting his oar in, you've got maybe other people from higher up that are putting their speak in as well? Is that the issue, that there's too many different opinions going into it? Rather than, because I don't think we were as bad as this the last couple of games during the beginning of Filippo's tenure when he was the one running the team. I mean, we weren't great, but I don't think we were as bad as we were the last two games.
Yeah, like it's. I don't think anybody's under any illusion that Filippo's the main man in charge. I think but then when you look at it, then they can't be seen that Filippo's the main man in charge. So you have you see Keegan on the sideline then calling a few shots, and you're thinking the players aren't going to listen to him. Like if you're gonna, I don't think I've seen it once since Keegan's come in that Keegan and Filippo have stood beside each other and said anything to each other.
No,
I'm not sure I've seen that once happen. And you can see, I don't know whether it's the first goal, and Rossi's up in the stand going nuts, like,
yeah,
So he's obviously more involved than Keegan is.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can see that confusion from the little bit the wee snippets we see from just watching on telly or the stream, like what's the players thinking? Players are looking around at each other. The first goal goes in and Dan Cleary's looking around going, what happened there? Like, how did that happen? Like he's standing at the back post waiting for a ball to the back post to head it clear, and he's looking around, the ball's in the net.
Yeah.
When you're playing the team like that, it's just, if you're in it committed, and you can see like the point they made with Shields, like he's dropping in deep to pick up the ball off the keeper. He's trying to support in midfield, and then he's trying to link up with the front man because he knows he's nothing else in there. Stanton looks like he's not match fit, or he's just miles off the pace. I've heard very good reports of him, but if he's not ready to go in, I don't know. Like surely he should have been starting Slogga ahead of him. If that was the case, like we can see that clear as day. Like how they're working with the players every day. Surely they can see that or notice it.
The fact that there's three, just alluding back here, there's too many cooks, that type of thing. It provided it's structured right, it shouldn't be an issue if there's three of them on the sideline. Like if you look to the Rovers bench, you have Bradley, you have Cronin, and you have Stephen McPhail. But they've got structure. They're all singing off the same hymn sheet. Bradley goes out, does the job. Whatever they're doing, training works. McPhail's the director of football, but he's on the coaching ticket as well.
Yeah.
So it works if you've structure. But to me, it's like they're all saying, right, let's have a fight before the game starts, and whoever's tactics on the bench, look, we'll go with that. It just doesn't. And it's probably not like that, but I don't know if it's just coming across like that. The communication is just off. But when you look to the Rovers bench, you've got 3 top coaches on the Rovers bench, and it works perfectly. There should be no excuses. But in my opinion, yeah, there's probably one too many people on the sideline. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's what the boys at the peak have done. So it's madness, really.
I think you're right, Gally, and this confusion then just leads on to exactly what we've seen on the pitch tonight for the goals. No one is exactly sure of what they're meant to do in these scenarios. Like we all hear reports of, you know, people yelling instructions from the sidelines in this team, and we're unsure sometimes of who's manager. So if Filippo's taking all the sessions during the week and he's telling them how they're going to set up and how they're going to play, but then he can't stand up and say too much because we could get a fine later on if we're playing in Europe, and he'll say, well, he's been standing up all season long and telling the players what to do. All of a sudden, Shane Keegan's doing that role. You know, does he see the game slightly different? Sometimes it leads to this scenario, and we said this on the podcast on day one. If this works out for them, we'll all praise him and say, hey, this was great. Who cares that somebody hasn't got badges or whatever? But if it goes wrong, and it seems to be going wrong so far, we're all going to point the finger at one scenario of who's actually running the show. And then it begs the question of, so normally when we get down this road in football and you're thinking, you know, is it the manager's fault? And we're trying to figure out where the issues could lie. And normally you would say, well, the manager's head's on the block here. You're talking all 3 their heads are on the block. And that's a scary thing, 3 matches into a season. But I've seen about 4 or 5 comments come up already. It's 13th game in the league for this management structure, 3 wins. Like from, you know, and you could say we're coming from a very privileged position as a Dundalk fan over the past number of years, but you would say and let's be topical on this for what's been mentioned during the week, for the size of our wages, the size of that squad, that's not good enough. You know, we should be at least in the mix. Even if lads, we were sitting on 4 points now and say, look, you know what, that's okay. I would have took 4 points from those first 3 games and said, just be in the mix, because it doesn't look like, bar Finn Harps, no one's going to go undefeated in this. You know, people are going to take points off each other. I think people are going to drop a few points for draws and stuff like that. If there is an undefeated team, they're going to come out of this very well, especially in a long season this year. But I just think now at this stage, people are starting to question the system if this is working at all. And so far, there's nothing to say that it is working, and it's the worrying thing.
Absolutely.
I think
go on, Steph.
I think the prime example was the commentators called out that Stanton was coming off, right? And he walked over to the sideline, and next of all, you see Filippo giving him the instructions. I sent the video into you, lads. Hopefully the FAI don't get their hands on it. But Filippo's giving him the instruction. He looked like he was saying to midfield, push forward, something like that. But he's like directly giving them the instruction, like, so. You know, like, what do you take from that? Like, he's the man in charge.
Stanton needs to stop listening to the commentators.
Yeah, but like, Stanton thought he was coming off, like, and he's coming over to the sideline. So was he told he was coming off? Oh, what happened there? Like, it's just total confusion, and it's mayhem at the minute. Yeah, it's shocking. Like, there's no, it's just hard to get it across without being so angry, like, about it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, look, we'll try bring in a new voice. Hopefully he might be happier than us, but I suspect probably not. So we've got a Dundalk fan and blogger, Donal Hanks. Donal, how's it going?
Yeah, it's all right, I guess, isn't it?
That side says it all, Donal.
Yeah, no, I genuinely thought I was going to come on, you know, the dullest of the dull. But you guys are, I think the 4 of you are in worse mood than I am, which is pretty impressive, I have to say.
We've just been in a WhatsApp group for this whole match during this and all week long. This has just worn me out now at this stage.
No,
I think
I normally, after a game is finished, if we've lost, I'm either eyeballs deep in Harp or I'm just not talking about it, and I'm a million miles away from Twitter or anything. So this is this is going against all my better judgment to actually be present in this. You know, this is it's tough. This is tough.
I'll apologise for that. I'll hold my hands up for that.
I need a win the next time. The next time will be totally different. If there's a win, it'll be brilliant.
I think the first thing you done was just a big exhale, and I think that sums it all up. Like, that's what everyone's sort of reaction was to the what's the result, like what's the performance. Like, if you go through the highlights, you're going, oh, we scored, we hit the post, we hit the crossbar. Like, you'd swear we made a match of it. Like, but like on the whole of it, like we were so poor it was untrue. Like,
yeah.
So you guys were talking about the management and the who's making decisions and all that kind of stuff, and it's obviously the kind of thing that we pay a lot more attention to when things are going wrong. But for me, whoever is making decisions, whoever signed off, we'll say Filippo signed off on this, they committed one of the worst sins. One of the things I hate in football more than anything else is they changed formation as soon as Rovers scored. Like, Rovers went 1-0 up, and they're like, okay, right, abandon that 5 at the back thing. Like, get rid of 3 at the back, slog it into midfield, right? It's wrong. It's not working. And like, you can't make decisions reactively like that. You can't just decide, right, okay, right, we're 1 down, it's not working, let's change. Because all of us were watching the first 20 minutes and thinking, this could be 5 or 6. Yeah. They're not getting out, they're not winning possession in midfield. And for them to go behind and then make a change. And they were a lot better after they made that change. Like, once Sligo was in midfield, Rovers had less time on the ball. I felt really bad for Ryan O'Kane that he only got like 10 minutes of the game when we played a more exciting bit of football. Like, we were so, I keep saying reactive and stuff because I've been reading expected goals books and stuff, so there's probably going to be like nerd football terms they're going to be shown at that I'm going to apologize ahead of time for. Yeah. But once we started playing on the front foot, then Brian O'Kane got involved in the game, got the ball to his feet in dangerous areas rather than trying to chase someone down, rather than trying to like pick the ball up in his own half and move out. I'm not going to say they played well in the second half because obviously the game's different once they're behind, but I thought if one thing we can learn one thing from this is that the players that we have, the players that are on the pitch tonight, are far better suited for playing 4-3-3 than 5-3-2. That's just absolutely. I think that everybody can agree on that. I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think. Like I said, this is the thing. Of changing formations and everything like this, we're being very reactive, and this was always the thing I think with Dundalk previously, particularly under Stephen, that's what other opposition teams used to have to do against us, and we were watching them struggling, and we're kind of going, wow, we're really, we were all kind of originally at the start of Stephen's, we're thinking we've completely changed the way League of Ireland football is being played here. This is fantastic. This is the way it should be played. Now, all of a sudden, we're looking a little more amateurish now of, oh, we've just gone behind. Let's quickly change this around. Let's bring this player in. Let's take that same player off again. Ryan O'Kane, we build him up all week long and then we pull him off at half-time. Why? Because we're behind in the game and we can't put it on his shoulders now. Yeah, in the second, like I said to the guys during the match, I was like, Dummigan's not given any coverage or any help for O'Kane at all in the first half. And in the second half, he was halfway up the pitch and was contributing all over the place. I just thought if O'Kane had been there to help him, we could have got something from this. But once again, like I say, we were just reactive and just hold him off, and it probably came back to bite us. Then we lost a creative player off the pitch.
I think I know we were crying out from the first 2 weeks, but like the 1 week you were sort of saying maybe hold him back, and like if we're still in the game, O'Kane would be great to come in and sort of be a game changer or lift us a wee bit. But to start him wide against, I think, to have arguably the best left-sided defensive players in the league, like Scales is one of the best defenders in the league, in my opinion, even at his young age. And then you have Kavanagh, who I know he was out for a lot of last season, and Rovers seemed to miss him when he was gone. But the two boys are excellent and they work well together. like they've built a partnership there, like something that we don't have at the minute. And to put a young lad up there, and like Chris said, he was isolated. He seemed to get no support. He wasn't getting ball to feet. Like, I know the team on a whole struggled, but we seemed to be getting the ball into Duffy a little bit, and we were causing him a little bit of trouble. Like, even for that Hoban chance, which I thought was probably a penalty. Like, we were getting the ball out to Hoban or out to Duffy. We could have easily got the ball into O'Kane's feet as well, and just let's see what he could do against him. Like, it was a tough task anyway, but he was totally isolated, and then like he was just like the scapegoat, easy option, take him off, you know.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah,
it done nothing for him taking him off. Yeah,
that's going to dent his confidence. I like, maybe he's a confident kid, and like, but just like putting myself in his shoes, you'd sort of be second guessing, going, geez, maybe I'm not up to this standard. You know, I know he's playing against the best team in the league and stuff like that, but he was on cloud nine, and then he's taken out. He was performing unbelievable in pre-season, the short pre-season we had. He was the shining light, and everyone thought, you know, this kid's the real deal. And then he takes him out of the team, doesn't play him in the President's Cup, doesn't play him against Sligo. He got a bit part against Finn Hobbs maybe, and then we're all turning to him against Rovers to, like, you know, be the hero. And just like it was a game that I wouldn't have thrown him in. Like, then you're going back to man management then again, like, you know.
Yeah. Donal, what are you thinking with what's your opinion, I suppose, of O'Kane so far, from what you've seen?
Well, just going back to like the games he's played and he hasn't played, I obviously watched the 2 preseason games, and he was really good in the 2 preseason games. And then with the President's Cup, and I remember thinking it was so strange that night that he didn't get half an hour at the end of the game. That, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's a preseason game. Like, it's not really the most important thing in the world whether you win it or lose it. Just give him 20 minutes in Tala against the team that obviously you think you're going to be your biggest rivals for the season. So give him 20 minutes, get him used to it, you know. And then again, I thought it was strange he didn't play against Sligo, having played such a big part in the preseason. But like, we seem to have we have blinders over being able to sign midfielders, but we're able to sign about 400 wingers. Like, we have way too many.
Yeah.
Like, you're after Hands come in as well. Like, we forgot the Hands on the bench tonight, and Dickey has to come back in as well. Like, we've got what Rovers did with central midfielders 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago. We're doing with wingers, where we're just going to be like, our whole bench is just going to be lads that can come off the bench and put crosses into Hooven. And the thing with, like, I really hope he gets a good run of games at some point in the season, but it's just very, very, very hard to see it, because you know he's going to be the first one hooked off if things are going wrong. You know, like tonight, it's like obviously he's going to be the first one off, no matter what was going on. Like, if he was playing well, they're going to take him off to protect him, you know, for future games or whatever. But I think he has quality, but I just worry about him not getting anywhere near enough game time with the players that we have for those positions. And there's the other thing there I was saying about the midfielders. Like, we were saying about Chris Shields. Chris Shields had a pretty good game again tonight. Like, he's a standard like 8 out of 10 anyway. But he had a great game. But the thing that we're saying about him having to do everything, the thing that really hampers him, especially if they want to keep playing that 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs, is that the other player in midfield, especially if Chris Shields is 1 of the 2 midfielders, the other player, whether it's Stanton or whoever, has so much creating to do. When McElhinney's not in the team, which obviously he's not, because you look at the lineup before the game started, and you're like, okay, so you know Rovers will be prepared for the 2 wingers. Who else is going to create chances? Because it's not going to be Stanton, it's not going to be Shields, and I think that just really stunts our creativity going forward. And it's something that, geez, we've been years and years and years now trying to find the right midfielder to play with Shields. It's like we had like the golden era midfield of, we can't say his name, and O'Donnell and Shields, and you're like, have they properly replaced any of them?
We haven't got another player like Robbie Benson, and that's badly what's needed.
Yeah.
Someone who can carry the ball sometimes. Someone who'll pick a pass and split a defense. Like, we just don't have that. And your other point on the wingers, you're absolutely right. We're just car parking wingers all over the place. And then you just mentioned Dan Kelly. The sad thing is, whenever he comes back, he could actually walk straight into that team.
Yeah.
You know, you would normally, as a player, you'd be worried if you're signing loads of players in your position, be like, oh God, I'm not going to get a game here. But literally, I think he could walk back into the right wing place because there's nobody performing in that position. Like, we Duffy over in it today.
And no one's going to get the time. That's the thing. Like, you're gonna get hooked off 60 minutes, not going well, get somebody else on. If they do something, they start the next game. If it doesn't go well for them, it's just because there's too many options. I don't know, like, I'm not going to be on this podcast every week, so am I allowed to talk about the goalkeeper? Like, is that like,
I think if we don't, we're going to be in trouble with the amount of comments that's coming in here, though, lads.
We're getting loads of comments about the goalkeeper, and you know, I said at the very beginning it was a tale of two goalkeepers really in the game, because it was two poor teams. I think both teams didn't play well, but the goalkeeper, Alamana, saved Rovers, and I think our keeper was all at sea for the second goal. Albeit he didn't have much help in front of him for the second goal. But I think I think I'll leave it to you, Donald, to discuss.
No, like, you can obviously, you work from, like, the first goal comes from a dead ball, so someone has to get in front of the shot. Someone has to at least pressure the ball. The second one, again, I'm not entirely sure how Dylan Watts has half of Tallaght Stadium to himself to take the shot, but so that's obviously an area that they need to work on. But I don't know if he's going to remember a few years ago when there was two games in particular that I can think of that we played Rovers. The first game of the season, I think it was Finn's first game, but I said his name. Finn's first game back in Oriel, and was it Horgan's brother that was in goals?
Oh,
Rovers that night.
Yeah,
and he gifted us a goal, and we won 2-1. I think they scored at the end. And you would be looking at that game going, like, Rovers weren't a million miles off us that night, but the goalkeeper was a huge area of concern for them. And then I think we went to Tiarnan, was a 5-2, and their keeper was a bit ropey for a couple of goals as well. And again, on the balance of the match, you're looking at it thinking they're not miles off us, but we have Gary Rogers who doesn't make those mistakes, and they haven't figured out their goalkeeper thing yet. And I do think, like, not to be too hard on him, because obviously he's only had a few games and it's hard to judge someone after a few games, but the difference in that match, more than anything, once we made the formation change, which obviously came from a goal, but once we made the formation change, the only difference in the teams was the goalkeepers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of our supporters that we're all happy when Peter Cherry got re-signed, but he's not the answer either. You know, people forget that when we played Derry City, I think it was last season, Cherry gifted us a goal against them. Right. The Damien Delaney own goal for Cork a couple of seasons back, Cherry was a mile outside of his goal. You know what I mean? So it's I'm not filled with confidence that the understudy is going to be any better than a BB.
No, if you look at even if Cherry comes in and he's not spectacular, like, he doesn't make hundreds of saves or whatever, it's if he comes in and he makes the defenders in front of him feel more secure and more confident, that they know the keeper's behind him and they know that he's not going to commit a howler or whatever, then that's where I think the decision would have to be made. Like, Abibi's probably going to be like a better shot stopper than him and better with the ball at his feet and all that, but if the anxiety of him being in goals then starts to reach the defenders in front of him and they start making decisions thinking this keeper's not going to do what I think he's going to do, then everybody starts to make mistakes around that then.
Well, Dan Cleary doesn't have a good poker face to say that he's confident in him at all. You know, I think he starts shouting at him coming out of the tunnel, to be fair.
But even if you look at the second goal, the space, like, you hear the commentators talking, it's gone through bodies. Like, it has to go through someone. You know, like, the ball, it goes into he actually sidesteps to the left. The ball nearly ends up in the middle of the goals. He's actually that far to the left if you actually watch it back. But for me, like Donald said, you have to have, like, Gary Rogers commanded the area. Now, don't get me wrong, Gary Rogers had his fair share of spills as well. But the boys knew what they were getting. They knew that if somebody went in behind him, he'd clear them out of it. And Abibi might be very good at rushing out, but it just seems to have, like, he nearly spilled the ball a couple of minutes before that on a cross. And there's just that worry about it. Now, I'm not saying Peter Cherry's the solution, Like Peter Cherry, make no mistake, he wasn't in the plans. He wasn't supposed to be signing for the all. But I would. There's probably only one game left in this, and they're going to have to change it up. They're going to have to get someone in. You know, like they don't even have a toe choice really. When you look at the squad, like there's a young fella training with them, but it's dying at the back. Like if you've got players,
third keeper, third
and
option,
then they let the likes of Jimmy Corcoran, they let the likes of Jimmy Corcoran go when he signed for Wexford. This boy played for Ireland Youths and he couldn't even get a toe choice at the club. It beggars belief. But look, you have to do. You can only play what's in front of you, and unfortunately, that's what we have at the minute. And it's going to be a talking point for the whole season. It's just going to be one of those issues. But provided they can do the job in front and not give players acres of space, just keep the ball away from the goalkeeper at the minute.
I think as a defender as well, when you have someone behind you like that, you're subconsciously dropping back people because you're thinking if a shot comes in here, then he's gonna spill it, and you're gonna have
you're on edge.
You're gonna have to beat the striker to hit the ball. So you're dropping deeper. That leaves more spaces in midfield. Whereas if you have a keeper pushing you out and you're confident he'll come and clear his lines or catch a ball if it goes out wide and they get a ball into the box, like that one that came into the box, like it was driven low, but he saved it. Then he rolled on top of it. The ball rolled loose, and then he looked around as if to say, "Where's it gone here?" And I was just thinking, that's like a defender going into goals, like because we'd had a player sent off and we'd no subs to bring on the second keeper, like, and the ball just bobbles into him, and he like mistakenly lifts it, like, and you're just thinking that like there's like I don't even think he's played much senior football, has he? Like nobody.
Doesn't look like it.
I'm not fully sure of his backstory,
Yeah, I don't think he even knows, to be honest.
I don't think the club are either.
Yeah, but like that's like Cherry was a panic buy because he was out of contract and he was available, because obviously they've watched Abibi in training and know he can do the sublime, pull off a great save, but then he can drop a basic shot, and that's probably what held him back in his career so far. And I don't understand how we've just landed on him. Like Aaron McCary surely should have been kept then if that's the case.
Absolutely.
Like he was playing in all the cup matches last season, and now that he's getting regular game time up in Cliftonville, he's flying up there.
Yeah.
Like, I would just give a BB just one bit of praise, because I know everybody obviously misses going to the games and misses being in stadiums and stuff, but every time Abibi has the ball at his feet, I'm glad I'm not in the stand in Oriel, because the amount of panic and everything that would come from the stand that would just make you be like, oh no. So it's hard to say that he's one of the reasons I'm happy I'm not going to the games, but you know what I mean? I kind of
and as well as that, like if the crowd start filling up, like everyone knows that no crowd doesn't hold back. Like if you make one or two mistakes, that's not going to build his confidence up either. Like if he's shaky now without any fans, like he's going to be a holocaust without them, like, isn't he?
That's the thing. That'll be strong.
It's going to be a shambles, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Donal, after reading your blog for the past few matches and stuff, I want to know, how did it work out for food tonight for you?
Oh, you see, 7:45 on Friday night's perfect. That's the perfect time to have a football match. 5:45 on Friday should be a war crime. It's just impossible to organise your day around 5:45 on a Friday. It's can't do anything right,
Very inconsiderate.
We were worried with your relationship and everything there. We thought this is putting unnecessary strain. You're having to stop down in 15 minutes here and everything.
I took a line out. I reviewed a line that was in there about. Well, I suppose I can't say it now, but I did take a line out just for the safety of the relationship, just because there's only two of us. There's only two of us here, and I do have to, maintain relationships and stuff. So for the safety of the marriage, I left out one of the lines of the blog, although she did see it, so we're okay. But I just didn't want everyone else seeing
it. Did she make you food tonight?
No, we did it. We did a takeaway tonight. Takeaway Friday night is going to be the new thing, I think, because it just eliminates the possibility that food might run over past 7:45.
Like a gremlin, you've got to feed early, pal.
Yeah, well, no, it's the I can't talk. I can't talk when the game is on. If I know that the game is starting, if like 10 minutes out, the level of chat that I have just like dwindles right down to I'm just a mute because the whistle's gonna go. So there's no point in me like being around people when the game is on unless you want to talk about the game, which I've tried a lot and she just won't.
Well, all this speaking about food, Donald, before we let you go, we've launched a new Man of the Match segment. So we'll give you a chance to win a pizza with Tony. So we'll let you decide who, out of all of the Dundalk players, again, like I say, I think the list is a bit low tonight, but who would you choose as the Man of the Match?
You can't really pick anyone else but Chris Shields. I mean, Andy Boyle had a decent game, but I'd just have to go with Chris Shields. I was only a little bit annoyed that the yellow card that he got for kicking someone in the back of the legs wasn't one of the turncoats. He wasted it on Dylan Watts. Like, what's the point in kicking him up in the air? It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
That's true. Well, look, at Donald, thanks a million for coming on. If anybody wants to check out the blog, it's donaldhanks.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks a million. We'll get you on again in the future. All right.
Legend, cheers. See you later, man.
All right, lads. Should we move on maybe to the Man of the Match segment? If anybody wants to get their vote in really quick for the Man of the Match, let us know, and then when we all try to agree on one, if you agree with us, you'll be nominated or you'll be in the draw to win the free pizza from Tony's Pizzeria. Right, Steph, I'll let you go first. Who's your choice for Man of the Match?
McElhenney. No, like I can see why people saying Shields, Sharkovskis. I can see why they're saying that, but I think our sole goal threat in the first half and right up until the goal was Michael Duffy. I think he had the beating of who came out of the side, Grace and Hoare sort of picked him up, but he turned Hoare for that open chance in the first half. I thought he was dangerous. He hit the bar. So I think Michael Duffy for me, like slim pickings, but I think Duffy. What do you think, Cal?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Mickey Duffy, Shields would be. It's hard to go past Chris Shields, but for me, if we were looking to score the whole night, Mickey Duffy done everything but put the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, I would say the Stephen on that one. Yeah.
Chris?
See, I was going to just go for Shieldsy for the simple fact that he's 7, 8 out of 10 every time. I don't think he's putting a foot wrong in what he's doing. I think he's just been asked too much in this current setup. So
I think he's asking too much of himself, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably is. But he's the only one, I think it could have been yourself, Steph, or one of the other lads that's mentioned earlier on. He's the only one that shows him a bit of heart, and he remember like his first season coming in and when he was made captain at such a young age, and he was even showing passion then. And we didn't perform very well that year at all. We all know what happened going to the playoffs and everything. But this, yeah, I can see that same commitment still on his face, but he's clearly just frustrated again at what's around him. And out of sympathy, I think I'm going to give Shieldsy my man of the match, lads.
Dino, you mentioned hoping for the goal.
Yeah, I did, but I'm not giving him the man of the match, Stefan. Now I'm going to give my man of the match. I'm going to agree with the lads, and I'm going to go with Mickey Duffy as well, because I want to make sure that we have a defined man of the match for this draw. But yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going to give it to Duffy because I feel like every time he got on the ball, he actually did look like he was going to make something happen. And probably the best part as a Dundalk fan tonight was in the first half when he turned Gano inside out, and I heard someone on RT, and all you could hear was, "For fuck's sake, Gano, you know exactly what he's about." So the fact that a player has played with him for years and he's still able to turn him inside out, especially a turncoat like Gano, for that reason alone, he's going to be my man of the match. So that there we have it, folks. Michael Duffy is at 3-1 is the man of the match. If anybody, I don't even know if anybody commented in a pick.
I'm
Duffy,
actually scouring through. Like, I've loads for Shields. I've loads for Sharkovskis.
Shields is such an always. Shields is, like I say, he's 8 out of 10 every game. But just for the chances Duffy had.
I was going to say Darren Meenan, but he's been man of the match for the podcast for the last 2 weeks in a row. But
assist king.
We're going to get Darren's going to come on in a few weeks, but at the door right now we have a different Dundalk FC legend, hometown hero. He comes from Havanamoor. We know he's going to score. Tiarnan Mulvenna. All right,
how we keep it?
What's the crack?
I'll tell you.
No.
Tara, we're just going to let you talk now for 10 minutes. So.
Oh, geez.
I think we'd all have a window to talk about Dundalk and be happy on a Friday evening and extend that happiness on even further. Since we started, this has been like brutal. This is some sort of torture.
Yeah, well, I'd probably need a 2-litre bottle of White Lightning to keep going, to tell the truth.
White Lightning.
All right, so what do you think about T?
I don't think the team is the problem, to tell the truth. Like I think we have, if you talk the managing situation of the 4 or 5 different coaches that are picking a team on every different week, I think we're fine, to tell the truth. Like I think we still, if we go back to our Dundalk way of a 4-3-3 and leave the best centre midfielder in the country in the middle and let him worry about defending for us and let Michael Duffy, the best winger in the country, attack, and then let our greatest ever goal scorer score goals, then I don't think we'll have a problem. We've seen it in the second half, like, so I just think it's a shambles at the club, to tell the truth. Like, I think it's just stemming onto the pitch, and I don't think it's easy to stop at the minute.
Go on, keep going.
And do you think all the confusion off the pitch, do you think, is that directly having an effect to the players on the pitch now? Is that what we're seeing?
Well, it has to. Like, it's not like these boys are all living in the Dundalk. Like, you walk around, I know we're all in COVID and all, you walk around, you follow social media, like, it's everywhere. Like, we're not blind. Like, all we hear is Bill, Jim, the club, the 5 coaches picking the team, the players, who's been selected. When Stephen was there, you heard nothing about Andy Connolly or Paul Brown or who was behind the scenes. Or you heard Stephen Kenny, you knew his 11. You probably knew his 3 subs that he was going to make after 60, 70 and 80 minutes. And the rest of us, at that stage, we all knew that we were bit bar players, and it just worked. But then it's turned into wanting to sell jerseys and wanting to get every different nationality in the door to sell the club, instead of just wanting to win and keep the winning mentality going.
I was talking to Darren Meenan during the week, and he said the whole family aspect of, like, you know, around Oriel, and there was like families involved in the behind the scenes volunteers, and it's just gone to a business now. There's no, like, it's like ripping the heart out of the club, really, like, from behind the scenes. That the owners want to distance themselves from the club, basically. They don't interact with, like, the club at all. Like, they just totally stand back, and just, it seems like it's going to ruins. That's my perspective, and he seemed to have similar views towards me, like, as well.
They're in America, like, so it tells you everything you need to know, like.
Yeah. Yeah, the one connect.
You can bring in Jim McGilton on his 4-year contract, and you give everybody else 1 year. Like, there's no plan, there's no, like, let's be honest, like, we can talk about what happened in the game tonight, like, well, first and foremost, we have to deal with our club, the club we all love, the club that you're doing this podcast for. Like, the results will come if the club is set up right, and at the minute, the club's not set up right, like past years. In the past years, the last 6-7 years, we've been to 5 cup finals in a row that we're blessed. Like, our kids growing up, like Steph said a couple of weeks ago, our kids are blessed at this. Like, it's the best team ever that we've ever had, probably. I know it's generation that we can talk about, but that all came from a solid base of the club was organised, the club knew what they were at, and now it just looks like it's a free-for-all, really, like, and they're just signing people just to sign, just to make everything okay. But it's not making it okay.
It's papering over cracks, isn't it?
It's heartbreaking, though, isn't it? Like, that's the worst part. Like, it is, because these players deserve an awful lot better than what the club are having to deal with. Like, making someone a coach and then a manager, and then the fella who hasn't even been on the pitch in the whole of pre-season then gets announced your manager the day before you go to play your first league game. Like, we're the Dundalk Football Club. We're the biggest and best club in the country, and then we're having to deal with stuff like that. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't sit with me right. Like, it just seems something's wrong.
That whole press conference announcing Keegan was just an embarrassment. Like, you're like ashamed when you seen that coming out. I don't know what the logic was behind it. Like, sure, like people said with Pats, like Stevie O'Donnell's there. Like, he doesn't have his pro license. Like, they didn't make a big announcement that Alan Matthews was going to be the manager and stuff like that. Just got on with it.
Yeah, but you don't hear about that because it's not Dundalk. Like, we're the biggest club in Ireland. You're going to hear about it. It's the same as something that happens across the water. Like,
people are starting to mention it now because Dundalk fans have made the media aware of it. But you're right, he is. You know, we're the biggest club in the country, so people are going to ask the question. And I mean, I've been harping on about it online for the last few weeks. Why was Filippo not put on the pro license course up at the north? Why did Jim Magilton not get him on it? You know, if he's on it, then there's no question. We don't have to have Shane Keegan in as the team manager. I don't understand that. If Filippo's got the allowance from the Italian Football Association to get on the course, why isn't he allowed? Because it just looks better. You know yourself, T, as a player, and I said it to Steph earlier. If you're being told someone else is the manager, and then Filippo starts barking orders and things are going shit, what are you going to do? You're going to tell him to fuck off because he's not the manager. You know what I mean?
I don't even agree with that, to tell the truth, because I think the players know who the manager is, and I think the players know. I just think the players aren't comfortable with what happening is at the club. Like, the club is not running functional. Like, the players are mad into social media. It's what the world is run on now. So every hashtag that they go into the Dundalk's on, or every stream that they go into Dundalk's on, all we're talking about is what's wrong. Because there's nothing right that we can actually talk about at the minute, and that's the hurtful part. Like, really, we have a great squad. I think, in all fairness, I think the players, even though the people might disagree, I think we have still the best squad in the whole country. I think they're the worst coached team that Dundalk have had in a long, long while.
If we're signing these players, a lot of overseas players, to enhance our reputation around Europe after on the back of being in part of the Europa League, surely what these players are going through at the club is going to have a negative effect, because they're going to start saying, by the way, guys, even though you've heard lots about Dundalk, they are run so badly. I don't know what's going on half the time. We've got owners over here. We've got people telling me over here. Like, that's going to have a negative effect if we can't get that in order fairly quickly. And what's going to happen is, based on our reputation, we'll get to talk to these players, and immediately it'll be, no, look, I heard bad news about Dundalk. I don't want to sign for you. And that's what'll happen.
Yeah, I agree with bringing in, like, if we can get the best foreign players into our club and we have the finances to deal with it, fantastic. Sherkovskis looks really, really good. But should we have signed him over giving Gannon a 3.5-year deal? 100% no. Should we have signed Nalestad, or whatever his name is, over giving Sean Hoare a 3.5-year deal? Absolutely no.
Yeah.
If you want to look at Stanton, or whatever his name is, would you have signed him over going and getting Danny Mandrew or someone like that? Because we know Fats is a wee bit injury prone at the minute, even though he's probably the best 10 in the league. No. So we have players that are in the league that we actually had in our club that are better than what we actually have, maybe. So instead of selling the club, why not just keep going the way it was going? We've been in the Europa League 2 of the last 5 years, or last 4 years even. So everything was like, the club didn't need a massive refix. The Americans didn't need to come in and do a massive overhaul of a job like when we were in the first division and something was happening. Like, the club was running, functional. Yeah. All you were doing is adding manpower, infrastructure, more finances to back players, maybe getting, like, the likes of Richie Towell coming home, if he was coming home to Ireland. There shouldn't even be a conversation after he left Dundalk that if he was coming back to Ireland, he should be coming back to Dundalk. But now, because of the way it's ran and these 1 and 2 year deals are getting handed out, or if I'm made to believe what was right for Dane Massey, a 3 and a 6 month contract only for, it was against rules.
It was illegal, yeah.
Why, if you were going to do that to one of his best mates who were at the club, why would he even entertain coming back to Dundalk?
Yeah.
Like, this is our club we're talking about. This isn't, like, if they were handed the ground in Thomond Park in the morning, I 100% believe that they'd be gone.
Yeah.
And that's the heartbreaking thing. We were probably blessed, and we're probably lucky that we had the good times and the Europa League stuff and all. But it's hard at the minute to actually. Maybe we're blessed that COVID is here and we're actually not in the ground, because I think it would be a lot worse. Because I don't think fans are happy.
Absolutely. T, I know you were involved at the beginning of the Peaks era with regards to the academy and stuff. And do you think Mike Tracy leaving is the biggest problem with the disconnect between Peak Six and the supporters?
I think he helped, to tell the truth, because you could see, yes, people might laugh and all when he was running around the ground and celebrating like a head case and all. But we're Dundalk. That's the type of people we are. We like eccentric characters, and we like people who we can actually talk about. If you talk about since Mike Tracy left, who have we ever seen? We haven't.
No.
Yes.
We haven't seen anybody. Again, we go back to Jim McGilton coming in, and to tell the truth, I was really, really excited because I've seen what he's done up north with the youth academy and stuff like that. Really, really excited. But still, it seems as if stuff is coming from probably Bill in America, and it just still doesn't fit right at the minute. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, because I still think we have the best squad in the league, to tell the truth. Even in the second half, we are miles better than them. And people, I can go on social media and people not being happy and all, but we were a lot better than them in the second half. Once we go back to 4-3-3, we're a lot better than them. And when the tough gets going, I don't think Rovers are up to it, to tell the truth. We've seen that in the cup final. We've seen that in the President's Cup. I think Dundalk have more fight in them. It's just we're probably missing. I think Sean Murray and Patrick McElhaney are a massive miss for us. Massive.
Yeah, I think Gareth was a big miss too, getting injured so early too, having that bit of experience at the back. You know, we were talking earlier about Shieldsy having to drop deep and stuff all the time during the Gary Rogers era. You know, when Gary was playing and Gareth and Andy Boyle were in front, they'd be the players he'd roll it out to, and then they'd play it into Shields in the middle of the park. But now Shields is getting deeper and deeper, which is inviting that pressure on.
Deeper and deeper. He's deeper than the keeper for goal kicks, man.
Yeah.
But really, if you go back to the game today, he was in the 6-yard box and Andy Boyle was in his position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, really. I know we're having a serious conversation, but in my head, they're the worst coached Dundalk team I've ever seen. And I have friends and all who are playing in the team, and they might say different to me, but you don't see Bosquets getting the ball. I know Sheezy's not Bosquets. You don't see him getting the ball off the keeper in the 6-yard box and PK in the 6 roll, vice versa. It doesn't happen. I just don't understand it.
If you're manager of that team, T, and Shieldsy does that the first time, you just tell him to get out. He doesn't need to be doing that.
Not even the manager. Boiler should be saying, Boiler's played for Ireland, man.
Yeah.
If he can't receive a ball centre half in the league, who can?
Do you think Shieldy's trying to do too much then, or what do you think's that down to?
I think it's asked of him. I think Shieldsy, if the manager told Shieldsy to go play up top and then chase back and be a centre half while out of position, I think he'd do it. I just think he's that honest, and I think he's the best 6 in the country when you're just left to be a 6. Just go win the ball. And when he had Stevie O or he had someone, Robbie Benson, beside him, or Jamie McGrath in front of him, or Fats McElhaney, it's a wee bit simpler, because he break the ball up and he give them to them. Yes, his passing and all improved throughout the years, and he started hitting diags because he got so comfortable in his game and so confident in his game. But he needs to just, to tell the truth, he probably needs to go and simplify his game as well, because he's trying to do everybody's work. And if you look for the second goal, Dylan Watts received the ball in front of our back 4. He's the centre midfielder. And Andy Boyle, as our centre half, was the closest man closing him. Now, the ball went in the middle of the goal. We should go and sign Fred Cooney from Heaven and More if that's going to continue. There's not one game pre-season and all that he's come out. The penalty shootout because he saved the penalty, but that's not in a game, if you understand. That's not real life. That's like having a game of penalties in the street. Someone I can jump in goals, or Mickey O'Kane can jump in goals and save a penalty.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're the big. We keep coming back to it. You're the biggest club in the country.
Yeah.
It's that, like, it is. That's the annoying part. It's frustrating because you know that the team's there. Like, I think if Gary Rogers is in goal tonight, I actually think we win. And that's the truth.
I think even when we were saying
Even as
earlier,
badly as coached as we are.
Aaron McCary, even if he isn't going to the one.
Well, like, you've Aaron McCary, but then we go back again to even the club infrastructure and the Americans. You let David Odumoso go, who's probably the second best keeper in the league behind Alan McManus tonight, and he's a kid from Dundalk who played with Glenmuir growing up, and the club were late offering him a contract and Draw to come in and signed him. Keeper of the year in the first division. He was in the top 3 keepers in the whole of Ireland, and now he's coming in and he's flying, and he's 20 or 21 years of age, and we're struggling with a BD that we know nothing about.
Absolutely. Well,
so why aren't we retaining players then, T? What's gone wrong?
Oh, it's massive. It's a massive problem at the club. We've far too many first team players for the academy players ever to break through. Like with Stephen Kenny, we probably had, I would say in my head, we probably had 20, 22 players that Stephen probably knew that were in his thing, and the rest of them were under 19 players. So if he was ever going to do an 11v11, and Stephen's mantra on a Thursday, it was always 11v11, and there was always under 19 players involved. And that's how you broke in, and then that's how you got to train, and then that's how you got to break in to the team. But at the minute, they must have 30, 33 players. You're never going to get in as an under 19. Like the Ryan O'Kane thing is fantastic for the club. It's fantastic that we have a local kid that's going to do a thing. And tonight, I agreed with Steph earlier on. I think it was the wrong game probably to put him in. But I think they're trying to cover something up by playing something like that, to tell the truth, to take the shine off something else. And he's done well in games, in all fairness to the kid. He's done really well. He's put some dangerous balls into the box. But the Dundalk Football Club should have, if we're signing all these international players, we should have a squad of 16, 17, and then bringing in the likes of Ryan O'Kane and Val. And there's a rake of players coming through the academy that are going to be smashing players. But at the rate that it's going at the minute, the way they're bringing any foreigner in at the minute at all, it's never going to work. And it's going to take 8 years for Stevie's work ever to come true, because that's how far it is down the line.
And you think
it doesn't hold out well for the future?
No, it doesn't.
No, but this is the honest conversations people have to have. Like, you know what I mean? We're not here to give out about anybody or. No. If things don't seem to be right, they're not right usually. Like if you see a deal online for an iPhone, brand new iPhone for €1, you know there's something wrong. If it seems to be too good to be true, it's too good to be true. These Peak Six coming in are worth 100-odd billion, and they've all the money in the world, yet they won't do our stadium up. If they really wanted to care about Dundalk, surely they would have had that. They're in 3 or 4 years. Surely they would have had something done.
I don't think it would cost that much to do the town end. I don't think it'd cost too much money to put a roof over there.
It's not even a roof. I think we could get easily what Sligo Rovers have for not overly much. Like,
do you see what Larne done up north?
That's a class facility.
Yeah, like that should be what we could be
aiming
for.
Only owns purple bricks. Like he only owns purple bricks. You know what I mean? These boys are worth hundreds of billions. It's not millions we're talking.
Yeah.
So I know they're putting their money in, and in all fairness, and Stephen Bradley talking about budgets and all, we've a massive budget. Yeah. Like these players aren't coming over for nothing, even though they're only getting 1 year contracts or whatever. They're good paid players, like, so they can't ever cry about it's not the wages is the problem. Maybe the length of contracts that we're losing the Irish-based players to Rovers are at the minute. But the money-wise, I'd say it's spot on. But even probably our best asset at the whole club, Michael Duffy, signed a 1 year deal. If he has another year, he goes for free.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So as businessmen again, where's the concept in that? Like, who's that helping?
It doesn't make sense. It's not logical at all.
No.
But that's the sad thing. Like sorry,
Steph, go on.
Like after all the success we had, I think someone brought it up like last time or the time before that. Like, and then like if things start going bad, they ship out, and next of all we're like starting all over again. The stadium's worse than what it was before all this.
Yeah,
that's where the whole, like, there's nothing to say, well, there's the Stephen Kenny legacy. Like, we've improved. Like, I know the YDC, yeah, that's great. Like, but somewhere
we
you
had
can
that
be
since
proud
Barry
of.
Matthews, like really. They've done the
Yeah.
inside of it up. But Barry Matthews had that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they haven't built it. They haven't made it better. Like Harry Taff spent, God rest him, spent every day of the last 2 years down the grass pitch doing it probably himself. Yes, he's probably paid a couple of quid, but he spent like he wasn't paid enough money to be down there 7 days a week. So we're grateful for people like that around the place. But yet, when you look at it, his son's only after being sacked by the club and brought in another video player. Why not ask his son to do the youth games then and give the youth academy a lift up? Like as Steph said earlier, every local bit of the club seems to be getting bled out, and then they're just worried about where can we get to Thomond Park, for instance. How can we get a stadium? How can we get to the Aviva? How can we buy the Aviva and rent it out and let Dundalk play games there? Like, they don't realise what's embedded in the town of people walking past the Garda barracks or going past the smell of the brewery or wanting to go into the shed and what the shed means for us all. Like, they don't. Like, when I scored a goal, I couldn't wait to run over. It was what I live for. And then when you take that away from people, and I think Andy and Paul Brown probably had that in us when even when I was there, and even as a fan when I went away. That's what we're embedded in. You know what I mean? That's us. And if you can't deal with that and you don't want to be part of that, I don't think you should be there, no matter how much money you have. I'd rather go back to the days where we fought for whatever we had to fight for.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Well, T, it's great to have you on in such good form anyway. So, look, at just
I don't want to get me white lightning anyway, bottle of whiskey and whatever else.
Before we wrap up with you, I suppose we'll try and end on a positive note. Could you give us like an example of probably the best moment that you had for Dundalk? Just because there's a lot of people on watching and commenting in now that you're on. So, was it me as Kitman?
No, definitely not. It has to be in Kildare, doesn't it? Like, yeah, it has to be Kildare. Walking off, I think I was walking off with Emma, with my mum and dad, probably crying that we never got promoted after winning such an easy game. Tell the truth. And then next of all, boom, and then it's carnage. And I'd rather go back to then now if the owners are like that now. Like, it was carnage, even though what happened with Giller and all at the time, and people knowing he was already gone when we were promoted and all. But at least we had people there. It seems a wee bit of care in the place, and we had the staff around us that seemed to care. But it had to be that night was like, we probably had, I think it was 1,500 temporary seats put in Kildare at Dundalk in the first division game. If it happened now and we had 1,500 people going to Kildare, it's madness to even think about. Like, yeah. And then for the last minute Scanlon goal to go in, and then sure, the rest is history, and the club wouldn't be where it is today only for it. Well done, David Cassidy and the boys.
We had a good few weeks going around Dundalk with the cup that year too.
Oh, stop, Jesus! And me not even a drinker back then. That's probably what put me onto the white lightning.
Well, and the white lemonade at that stage.
I was white lemonade. I was all right back then. I had a career ahead of me, and then white lightning got involved and had 2 years after that, and then had a merry-go-round.
Well, look, T, brilliant having you on. I think we'll probably get you back on a couple of weeks, hopefully after a win. Fingers crossed it'll be after a win. But thanks a million for coming on, brother.
T,
just we win next week.
One more question before you go. Dino wants to know what's the address of that €1 iPhone. He's looking to purchase.
He was selling for €5.
It's Bill's house. Peak 6 Avenue Road and Dundalk.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. Appreciate you coming on.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. Yep.
All right, lads. So I suppose moving on, Chris has just gone AWOL there for a few minutes.
No, he went there. T, you can stay where you are, but Chris controls the whole thing, so you might as well just stay there.
I'll just sit here eating and drinking that. Use what way.
But moving on from that conversation with T, I think the Ask Gally segment for today is chatting about the disconnect between the club and the community, which I feel has dissipated for the last few years. So, Gally, I'm going to leave it over to you. Going to put you on the spot now.
Yeah, you're literally putting me on the spot. Yeah, you literally are.
About what your feelings are about the disconnect that seems to be growing and growing over the last few years.
Yeah, well, I mean, T alluded to it there. Like, since the Americans come in, I know there was this big kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, fanfare when they come in, I suppose. They had that big thing up in the YDC. But how many years ago was that? I think that's the last time we've all met. Like, people have been together as fans, apart from the game. There's never been anything on. Like, Dean, we were involved in the Lilywhite Supporters Club. That, we had a massive night. There's Chris back. We had a massive night in McGuinness's pub. And then within a couple of months, it was all kind of between one thing and another. And I don't know if we're allowed to get into that, but it was, there just seems to be nothing. Look, it can happen with success. It's when you get successful, you forget about everything else. And success is the only thing. It's why, for want of a better word, players from town might be getting a crack at it for the last 10 years. Like, you're talking Tiarnan, Mark Griffin. And now, since then, it's just Ryan O'Kane. Stevie Mack obviously came back. But with success comes buying in these players and spending extra money and stuff. And stuff that, that doesn't really emphasise the community. I remember when Paul Johnson was last involved with the club, they come up with this community-based thing, community hub, and we're a community club. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that's not to deter, and to say anything against Gavin McLaughlin, what he does up there with the patron scheme. And it's fantastic. Like, I'm a member of the patron scheme up there. Gavin does unbelievable work up there. But there seems to be just this, like, we're in an era now where there's some people in town only know Dundalk as success, only know Stephen Kenny, that era. And that's great. You need those people in as well, money through the gates. But there just seems to be, look, we'll go out and we'll beat Finn Harps, and we'll go out and we'll win tonight. So I don't need to watch the game. I don't need to go up this Friday night. We're only playing such and such. We're only playing such and such. And that comes from the club. It has to come from the club. Like, T hit the nail on the head earlier on. You've got to, it's our club. All the millionaires in the world can come in, but at the end of the day, they can leave tomorrow. They can sell it up tomorrow. They can probably walk away and they don't have to sell it. It won't cost them anything. And we're left up to pick up. Like, Dean, you were involved. I wasn't involved there, but the Save Our Club, like, that brought the club from almost literally on its knees right back up to when we had the Paul Browns and Andy Conleys and that. And there's a lot of fan expectation then, but there's a lot of fan involvement. And now it just seems to be, now I know we're in the era of COVID and there's, look, we're the best podcast, but we're one of 450 that's on in town at the minute. But, this is the only way of communicating at the moment. But when we go back to football, what are we going to do after these games? Do you know that kind of way? Like, we can't do a straight after the match podcast because we're going to be at the match. So there should be something there that gives us that link with people. And it's just, look, it's been going on since the money came in. It's I can't say it's nobody's fault because it's their fault. There's nobody else. Like I said, Peak Six have only had one. They did one big night when they announced 27 people on the board, and nobody's seen any of them since. And only Mike Tracy we've seen after that. And they've done nothing else. They haven't done a tap. And it's all well and good Gavin McLaughlin busting himself and people on the board, trying to do stuff. But there's just something. There's something just not right. There's something just not right behind the scenes. People aren't stupid. People know there's just something not 100%. And it's like they don't. The one thing that happened was the fact that there's COVID. Because they don't have to engage us. We're not at the games. We're not up there. It's grand. Everything can go cloak and dagger. And we're not looking to know every information. We don't need to know what people are paid. But there's just something. There just seems to be that kind of. It's not a miscommunication. It's lack of communication and lack of kind of involvement. And it comes with success, unfortunately. And it's something that I didn't think would happen, but it has. It's crept in very, very slowly. But like Tegan probably say it's crept in quicker because he was behind the scenes. But yeah, it would sicken you at the minute. It really wouldn't. I don't know what the other boys think. I don't want to be speaking for everybody, but that's just my opinion on it.
Just like, it leaves a sour note when you see the likes of Shane Taff, like, been like up there with his dad, Lord rest him now. Like, he was his right hand man. Two boys went everywhere with Dundalk. They'd done everything for. I don't know if they were getting paid or if they weren't getting paid, and it's none of my business. But they put everything. That was like, they were Dundalk. Like, they were behind the scenes, and then you see him getting messed about. Like, after everything that's going on, like, we should be looking after our own. Like, not discarding them and promising them this and promising them that, and then shoving them to the side. That's like that just fucking builds a bit of hatred in you, like for people like that's looking after your club. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. I think, look, I know, Gally, you referred to it, myself, yourself and Chris were part of the initial incarnation of the Lilywhite Supporters Club, you know, and when we tried to set up, and I don't want to discount the fact that I think since the new owners have come in, a lot of that community aspect is gone, but you lads know yourself, the little bit of success we got when we set up that Supporters Club, partly people involved in the club back then didn't want us. You know, they had success. We just won the league in 2014, and this was, I think, the start of the 2015 season, and there was roadblocks after roadblocks put in our way, and all we wanted to do was raise a bit of money for a rainy day. And the biggest fear I have now is if shit hits the fan, which it looks like that's not as far away as maybe we thought after the cup final 3 or 4 months ago. If the shit hits the fan, where are the supporters? There's no supporters group. You know, there's no group that's actually there to maybe give a dig out if these lads decide they're going to walk away. There's nothing there, and it shouldn't have to be on the supporters. But personally, I think there should never have been, in 2014 when Andy and Paul, or 2013, sorry, when Andy and Paul kind of their first season, the supporters trust should never have disbanded. You know, I know some of the lads went and worked behind the scenes in the club and done great work for years since, but the supporters trust should never have disbanded. There should always be a supporters group that questions the club. And right now we're all on Twitter and we're all on social media and we're on this podcast and we're talking about everything about the club, but there's no group. We're all individuals, no matter what way we look at it. There's no group that can actually go to the club or that can release a statement as a group of supporters and say, look, there's a problem here, you know, and we can't ask questions. Because who is Dean Arrowsmith asking a question on Twitter of one of the owners or saying their shit or questioning the management team? There has to be a supporters group there for stuff, and the stuff with Shane Taff, you know, the stuff with the Taff family. There's no group to actually go and question it. You know, it's individuals again. I just think that honestly, it sickens me a little bit that there's no supporters group there. You know, we've been chatting about it this week, and I don't want to be blaming the supporters, like I say, but I just think something needs to be there. Something needs to be there that we can question these lads. And the fact that it's not, and the fact that it wasn't even during Andy and Paul, because at the time we didn't know that the Fast Fix group was going to be good either. You know, we didn't know at that time that they were going to be a success. And I just really think that there needs to be something, and the sooner the better. Something is set up.
I think before I jump in, T, what do you think on that?
If it was the supporters group thing, it's all good if the right people are there, like, because we're a small town, we know that certain people will get involved in certain things just to cause probably problems and all and stuff like that. I think we probably jumping the gun and thinking that because we've lost 2 games and drew 1, the peak 6 are going to go. I don't think as far as that, to tell the truth. I think they've put a lot of money in. I would just hope that they actually crack their heads together and think that the 5 and 6 coaches thing, like I fully believe if Stephen Kenny was there in the morning, or if we had someone Rovers are a really well coached team. I just don't think Dundalk are. And it might seem harsh on Shane Keegan. I don't know if he's a football manager, a hurling manager. He's got 2 teams relegated. Like, he's at Dundalk Football Club, who's only had to be in Europa League 2 years, and you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. Like, you're brought over. Yes, I was a youth team coach. I would never have got the Dundalk first team job. Let's be honest about it. Like, I would never have got the job if the job was between me and Filippo, and the Americans were choosing, it was definitely Filippo. So I think we're a much better outfit than we have probably staff at the club, and that's no disrespect to anybody who's there. Now, that's got to do with first team kind of managers, coaches, or whatever. I know Shane Keegan, as I went back to it, wasn't on the pitch for the first 2.5 weeks of pre-season until it was announced that he was the manager, and then I think he went back onto the pitch. And ever since then, there might be conflict and interest of people wanting to play certain ways. Going back to the supporters thing, yes, I would love if there was a supporters club that we could actually ask. But who do we ask the questions to at the club is another thing.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim Magilton's there, but is Bill still the man? Like, if we want to ask questions, are we asking Filippo, are we asking Shane, are we asking Giuseppe, are we asking like who's in charge really? Like, I know they're coming out saying Shane Keegan's the manager. 1,000,000% Shane Keegan is not the manager of the Dundalk Football Club, and I don't care who you are. And if Jim Magilton come on this right at the minute and Bill come on, he's not the manager. Because if he was the manager and Filippo had any man about him, he wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
True.
No, it's a good point.
So we need to find out from the club. Just set a strategy at the club. I think they're doing well with the youth structure and trying to do something positive there, boys and girls, which is a good thing to see in the town because, like Gally said last week as well, there's a massive thing in girls football at the minute. So that should be pushed the same as the boys is pushed. But the first team is our be all and end all of everything. And if the structure's not right at the first team level, like the man in charge is on a 4-year contract and everybody else is a 1-year deal. So how does that work? Can you tell me? Like where's the logic in that? Where does that begin to make sense to anybody? So from the off, when that was announced, everybody's starting to question it straight away as soon as it's happened. How's he in a 4-year? How's Filippo on a 1-year? Oh, Shane Keegan's now the man. So from the offset, there's just been constant questions. And I think that's just maybe if the club could clear up that side of things. Again, I think we've the best squad still in the league. I just wish they were coached better.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Brilliant, T. We'll look at for the second time tonight. Thanks very much for having you. No, we appreciate you staying on there.
Second leader.
We might get you back on there in 10 minutes. But no, thanks a million, T.
Thanks, T.
We'll get you on.
Head on, man. Best of luck. Well done.
Cheers. Have a good time.
Cheers, T.
I got back for the second goodbyes at least.
Yeah.
Just on that point, Dean, I think realistically that's part of the reason why we kind of set this up, to have a bit of a voice for fans, because I think that's what we felt we were missing. When we were originally setting up the supporters group and you were talking about the trust and everything, and I was just thinking about the owners putting so much investment into the playing side of it. This is one time when we're not overly worried about financially the club going under, because Peak Six could just at any moment, like they did when they came in, and there was outstanding debt for the YDC, for money to the council that was never paid. And they come in and clear the decks and all that stuff. So credit where credit's due to them. But imagine we still had a supporters club who's been running, say it's in Save Our Club, when you think about the money that you guys pulled together then, and we had this little voice. I wonder how much money we could have had right now to put into investment, because if Peak Six come and go, and the main thing they never wanted to touch too much was Oriel Park because of the lease agreement that's there. Us as supporters, we'll always be there. So if we could have been galvanizing and saving to have a, whether it's a supporters trust stand on the town end or something, we could have been some way to that. We could have had enough money to get plans drawn up, a foundation built. Like you see, with the announcement for Harps this year, and this week, should I say, 4 million gone there. If when you kick the can down the road and you get something started, you can always pull down more funding later. But it's, can you get it going at the start? Could we have done that as a supporters group? That's a question.
Yeah, if
that was the legacy from us, then there's something.
I think we could have, and the point I want to make is because it disappoints me back in 2015 when we set up that supporters club. As I say, Chris, myself, yourself, and Gally were there at the initial stages, but everything was thrown against us. I think all three of us got frustrated at different times, but we all got frustrated and walked away because at the time we had the success, and there was a certain level of supporters didn't want to get involved because we were having the success. There was some people within the club at the time that pushed back on everything we done. We had a retro jersey. I have no problem saying this on the podcast. We had a retro jersey made out. It was ready to go, and then we got threatened that it was copyright infringement by the club while there was a shop in town that was selling Dundalk FC branded gear. It's little things like that. But that jersey at the time was going to be, I believe, Callie, you'd be able to maybe speak better on this, but it was going to be limited edition. But I think it was going to bring the supporters club in something like $5,000. And just imagine having that in the pot. And as you say, if we had that over the last 6 years, got $5,000 a year, just minimum, that we were able to take in as a supporters club. There's what, 30 grand, is it? 30 grand that we could say to Peak Six. You could go to the owners and say, look, we'll put this towards the stand. It's a little token gesture, but then if we say, look, you're not expected to do it all, we'll put it towards. But with everything that's going on with the manager situation, I honestly believe that if there was a supporters group, whether it was Bill, whether it's Jim Magilton, whoever, if there's a supporters group, you can talk to someone at the club. We've all been following the club or been involved in the club for Jesus, over 20 years or whatever, but there's always been a supporters group up until, in my opinion, it felt like a 2012, 2013, when that kind of transition period for Fastfix, it just was null and void. And because of the success that the club has had, we didn't need one, maybe, but you should always have one. And you look over at like Sligo kept going when they won the league a couple of years ago, and they're the standard bearers for a supporters group. And it just, as you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about this point, but I just think it's crazy that there's no supporters group that are able to ask questions. There's not a big enough group that's able to actually go to the club and ask these questions and try get answers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Chris, you have no microphone on.
Yeah, it's probably like, that's the thing. Like, who, like T said, like who do you go to? Do you go to Jim Magilton, who's been told what to do and what not to do? Like, I don't think he's calling his own shots either. Like, he seems to be trying to do his own work as well. Like, I don't know what that's all about, but like, do you go and question him? And sure, like, it seems like there's no way of getting through to the club. That's what it's just looking from the outside. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's why I think. Steph, is I think we're all individuals looking for answers, and when you're just one, they're not going to answer. They're not going to answer me, or they're not going to answer you. But if there's a group, you have a better chance of getting an answer.
Yeah.
And plus,
that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Yeah,
it's not a lot of fans shouting them on the internet, like you say. It's that person who's the representative, or that group that's a representative, are taking a collection of how, if you took, look at the interaction we've had again tonight, lads. I'd say we're on record number of comments from people, and I think this mostly is just fans needed somewhere to vent their anger sometimes, or to be heard. Like, we're able to go through some of the comments here and bring up some points about players, about formations, about how this club has been run and what's needed. And I think this, that's exactly what everyone's looking for, is just to be heard. And I think that's exactly what's missing. Like, still now you can still walk around town and there's still loads of young kids still wearing Dundalk jerseys and everything in this town. If we don't find some way to have them included, that they feel a love from the club, they're not just there to take money for them on a match night, that they're all inclusive all week long, that they feel that while they're growing up that they can add something back into the club. That's what's needed. Yeah. We've all said from the Stephen Kenny era, Steph, you brought it up again tonight. We talked a couple of weeks ago that there's no legacy in the ground for that. And that's an awful shame. An absolute awful shame. We should be saying this is, we done that when we got European money in that time, and look what we got from it. Now, I know Peak Six have always said, why do they have to do this venture all alone? Why isn't the council willing to put up money to this? How did Finn Harps just pull 4 million out? So this is the questions I think we need to be asking. How is there other clubs getting serious money for investment and we're not? So is that because our local authorities aren't helping and working with the club? Now, I know we've had our disagreements with local authorities for years. When you think how long they take us for a homecoming, I think that relationship seems to be got a lot better. And if it has, let's get into that right now and start getting an investment long term into this club in Oriel Park, because that should be a facility for the community. That Oriel Park is going to sit idle for probably 5 to 6 days a week. Why can't we utilize that for community involvement when we're all able to go back and do things again? You know, that's what we should be doing. That's why local authorities should be investing into Oriel Park. Across Europe, they're all municipal grounds. The towns or cities own the ground themselves, and the clubs just happen to play there. That makes a lot more sense to me. So why schoolboys are up there? You've got, days out for different groups. Everything should be up there. And it should be, where are you going? Oriel Park for this. First thought is, that's where I'm going for this. That's where it should be. And like, I remember growing up and playing down in the back of Hiney Park, and they used to have the signs out, please do not walk on the pitch. And for 2 seconds, I used to walk on the pitch going, playing in Oriel Park, look, this is class. And then you'd be yelled at, get off that pitch quickly, and you're running out to Hiney Park at the back. But it felt cool to go out on the pitch then. Yeah. And yet, I don't even see kids at halftime playing football anymore in Oriel Park. Where's all the local clubs when they used to be up there? We need to start going back to doing all these things that we were so good at again. But I think we need to have a serious conversation with regards supporters' investments, local authority investments, and our owners' investments. And let's really get something going here.
Yeah.
The GA do it so well. Yeah. Why can't we?
GA are masters at it. Masters. Yeah. And you can say it's a different sport all you like, but it's a completely different setup. It's a different attitude. It's a different mental approach to it. It's ingrained in them, and that's the way, football is always seen as a kind of a, I don't want to use the word tuggery, but like that, it's that kind of level. It's football. It's a foreign sport. It's not like, if it's played down the street, it's your local sport. We all grew up playing it in the streets, clubs, whatever it was. But yeah, the GA are masters at getting everybody involved in the community, and the fact we have Oriel Park. I remember years ago something muted about when CX Sport had the gear, and it was Rambo gear for the rugby, and they were going to build this dual stadium, and the buzz about it. It was only for a couple of months it was mentioned, but it would have been unbelievable because the rugby club were neglected as well. And we're not talking about rugby, but it's just on, if every sport's Leinster, Munster, Ireland, and to forget there's a Dundalk Rugby Club. Yeah. But it's just a community involvement needs to happen at a massive level. It's probably the only way I can describe it. It was like when you were saying about the jerseys. It's only now in the last 10 years you see kids going around the jerseys. Like, I didn't go around the Dundalk jersey when I was young, mid-90s. You couldn't get one. Like, you didn't. There was no kids. Like, I don't remember going mad looking for it. Like, my first game was 95, I think. I didn't have a jersey. I don't think I had a jersey till the 2002 Cup final. I think it was actually a polo t-shirt I had. But now you see kids looking for us, looking for Santa, looking for Alberta, looking for everything. Jersey day in school at Dundalk, and that's the way it should be. Community involvement is massive. It's massive. It's badly needed again, I think.
But even for inclusion in the clubs, like why can't we have a jersey and name press at Oriel Park to get names on the back of a jersey?
Yeah.
Like that's a small little thing. Like surely we can get that, and then it's go around, and then it's like when I was younger, I look back at players' names on the back of jerseys that I got as a Villa fan, and I'm going like, where was I going with this, lad? But that's part of the crack of football. That's why you like football. You look back and say, God, I remember when that person used to play for the club, and and kids will have a banter of, oh, how come you went and got such and such name on the back? I went for this guy, and that's that. They're talking about the club, and that's all we want from it. But like that's not even a big ask, and yet that's not. Why haven't we got a name press at the club? I just don't even get that.
Yeah, simple stuff. Starts very simple.
Absolutely. Well, look,
I think we're going over an hour and a half again. Lads.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation we can kind of pick back up on another day, because I think we all feel very strongly about that. Well, I suppose we'll get up the table as we wrap up, and we'll.
I'm off, lads.
Can we do it upside down, Chris?
Try and turn it upside down, yeah.
It's not great viewing, lads.
Yeah, so the table after these games, well, there's still some teams still have to play, but Dundalk are currently 8th with 1 point. Derry and Waterford, are below us. Sligo currently top of the league with 7. So yeah, it's disappointing stuff, lads. You know, it's nothing really to say about it. It's just disappointing. Next week, I think we play Bows on Friday at the same time as tonight, at 7:45 kickoff. I suppose what are we hoping? I don't want to make predictions. I just want to hope at this stage.
They have to win. The prediction I don't know, but they have to win. They have to win next. No, I mean it's not going to end the season, but they really have to get points from the board, and ideally you need 3 points. You have to win, in my opinion, next week. Or I think there could be P45s.
Yeah, well, everything gives a final now, isn't it? They put themselves under this pressure now.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem. That we went into tonight and we kind of said, oh, it kind of feels like a cup final, because if we get a win out of here, we kickstart the season and we can go on from there. We'll say, look, 4 points from your first 3 games, you could live with it. But now we're only a point and we're so far behind. We're playing catch up already. I know we're always slow starters, but normally we're still pulling draws out of this.
What's worse is we don't look like we're going to beat anyone.
No,
like we don't look like I've seen. It's probably the one year I've seen every team play already, and we don't look like we're going to beat anybody. Maybe Waterford, but we don't look like we're going to beat anybody, and that
wouldn't even count on that quickly.
Yeah, right.
And the worrying thing is then you go back, like, what is it, 3 wins out of 13 now in the league, which is like carrying over from last season into this, and we actually look worse than we did last season. There doesn't look to be there's no plan, there's no tactics, there doesn't seem to be anything like going for us at all. Like, and the last few minutes we showed a bit of urgency and we got the goal from it. If we can bring that into the match, like play 4-4-3, play the players in the positions that were brought into play.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to try to be positive. I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. Junior's going to score a brace, because I know Gally's just itching to see him score. And
if he scores a brace, I'll do a forfeit.
I'm going to say it's a 2-1 win. But look, I heard actually on another podcast that James Rogers was on this week. He was saying we can't say what this team's going to do. They could go out and win 4-0 next week. You know, we honestly don't know what way they're going to play. As T, I think, said, the second half we did actually play a bit better tonight. I mean, it's not hard to play better than we played in the first half, but you know, he's sorry, Steph's just messaging me privately here and he's put me off my train of thought, but no, look, we sorry lads, what do you take over that?
I hope that wasn't right now. What was that?
No, I think we're going to win 2-1. That's what I'm going to say. We're going to win 2-1 next week.
Well, you're the only one with that optimism.
I was going to say I hope we scrape a 2-1 loss. No, in all seriousness, if we show the sort of urgency closing down that we showed, like getting balls in the box, we spoke about it last week, playing to people's strengths, playing players in the positions they're supposed to play in, doing the jobs they're supposed to do. Like, we have players there, like the backbone of the team. And listen, hopefully this podcast will be a bit better and positive next week, you know.
Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, lads. As we said earlier on, we had the Man of the Match award. 3 of us decided to go with Michael Duffy. Nobody in the comments agreed with us.
What do we know?
Everybody that wrote in the comments is wrong. 3 of us are right. Michael Duffy
Chris is wrong.
That means they agreed with me, no?
No. We decided then instead we would pick whoever had the most comments throughout the night, and it was between all 3 of the Maxis and Darren Meenan, and the winner is Sean Maxi Kavanagh. So Sean, you've got 1 week to go into Tony's Pizza and pick up a 15-inch pizza of your choice, or of Steph's choice if you don't know what to pick yourself. He said he'll pick for you.
I'll eat it as well if you want.
Yeah, we didn't know if Darren Meenan's going to be playing again in the next few weeks or not, so we didn't want him to win the pizza.
No pizza for him, just in case.
So, it's too late, as you can't keep commenting in there. It's too late.
Yeah, so Sean Maxey, well done, fair play, congratulations. That's all from me, lads. Steph, we'll let you wrap it up tonight, pal.
Thanks, lads. See you next week.
Oh,
Go
No,
on,
just
Todd.
Gally's the best at doing them wrap ups, so I'm gonna pass it over.
I know. No, just the same as normal. Just like a thanks to the boys coming on. Donal, it seems like 3 hours ago Donal was on. So thanks to T. It's I'm always fascinated when ex-players come on. We'd Sano a couple of weeks ago, and T didn't. He didn't. What's the word I'm looking for? He didn't let us down. He's blunt as they come, and that's what you want. Yeah. So look at. Hopefully next week we'll hear talking about it. We've 3 points on the board, and well, we have 4 points on the board in total, but 3 points from next week, and hopefully for better times. So we'll see us all next week. Jump up and down if you love the town. Stay in your lane, dude.